Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Triangles Meditation Group. Today is June 6, 2022. And as we do each week, let's begin with a brief moment of silence to link up with everyone in the network, and followed by the sounding of the noontime recollection. We know, O Lord of life and love, about the need. Touch our hearts anew with love, that we too may love and give. So we meet each week for a twofold purpose: to introduce the planetary service of triangles to people who are new to it and to aid them in the forming of triangles, and also to create a platform for those of us who are already members of triangles to come together each week and participate in a meditative visualization in the support and strengthening of the planetary network. Triangles is a simple visualization technique using the power of thought and prayer to uplift and transform consciousness. 3 people agree to vivify their triangular link with 2 other people each day, and then they work together mentally, spiritually, and in a spirit of goodwill to all humanity. After their triangle is visualized, they visualize the entire network of planetary triangles and themselves as part of that network. And then they sound the great invocation, a powerful world prayer, in order to release the energies into all open hearts and minds. The work need only take a few minutes each day and can therefore be fit into even the busiest of schedules. And today, after our meditation, we look forward to hearing from Uta Gabay, who is the founder of Heschel Center in Jerusalem. And she's worked as a therapist, a meditation teacher, and a spiritual activist for over 20 years. Uta is the author of the book Awaken the Will to Love, and she now lives in Germany. And her theme today will be a creative lab for the spiritual work of our nations. So we look forward to hearing from Uta a little bit later. So now let's just begin with a brief visualization. Visualizing the planet as a sphere of lighted energy. And within that sphere, visualize the 3 planetary centers forming a triangle. Shambhala, the planetary head center. The spiritual hierarchy, the planetary heart. And humanity, the planetary throat center. Visualize the 3 spheres of energy moving around the triangle in all directions and filling it with light. Now, superimposed upon the triangle, visualize a 5-pointed star. This is the star of the world teacher, linking east and west, past and future, radiating the energy of love wisdom. At each point of the star, the sphere of his activity, stands an outpost of his consciousness, the 5 planetary centers. Visualize the energies radiating forth from the center through the 5 points. London, Darjeeling, New York, Geneva, Tokyo. Visualize these outpouring energies, enlivening small groups gathering everywhere, aiding them to focus and direct the energies into the consciousness of all humanity, solving its problems, creating right human relations, restoring peace on earth. Visualizing the rainbow bridge uniting hierarchy and humanity, we sound together the invocation of light. Radiance we are and power. We stand forever with our hands stretched out, linking the heavens and the earth, the inner world of meaning and the subtle world of glamour. We reach into the light and bring it down to meet the need. We reach into the silent place and bring from thence the gift of understanding. Thus with the light we work and turn the darkness into day. We're now approaching the time for the tremendous influx of energies of love as we approach the full moon of June next Tuesday. And as we highlighted last week, this festival is really a 4-day event, the 3 days preceding the full moon and the day of the full moon itself. And we can link up with these events and thereby contribute to this culminating time, working together next weekend, Saturday, Sunday, and then also on Monday and Tuesday, which coincides with the London Arcane School Conference and the celebrations for the Gemini full moon, followed by World Invocation Day. So we have a full week to prepare for these great events. At this time when the sun is in Gemini, the forces of reconstruction are pouring into the world. These energies are extraplanetary, working through the higher centers of Shambhala and hierarchy, and are said to be related to the physical plane, to the healing of the nations. As the name implies, these energies are related to the rebuilding of our world along new lines. And in externalization of the hierarchy, we read these rather arresting words, where the Tibetan says that it's the purpose of this full moon is to usher in the new era of creative activity. And he says this will necessitate the total destruction of the old forms. It is this great group of forces which will be set in motion by the Christ at the June full moon. Their task is to precipitate and bring into manifestation that which the work of the forces of restoration and of enlightenment, which were available at the 2 previous full moons, have made subjectively possible. So the insight of the power released on the physical plane during this full moon is needed, we're told, to help prepare our consciousness for the changes that are afoot in our world. They're all part of the plan. And as the Christ taught, we cannot pour new wine into old wineskins. So the energies of Gemini are particularly related to the transformation of Earth's etheric field, Gemini being the sign most closely associated with the etheric body. And this, as well, is the primary objective in triangles, to change the planetary grid from one of squares to one of triangles. Gemini brings the opposites together, aided by the current of the second ray of love wisdom that pours powerfully through this festival of the Christ. We can use this energy to take our stand between the opposing forces that are raging in the world and hold fast to the middle way through which the light ahead can be perceived. As we know, each sign has 3 planetary rulers, and in Gemini, these rulers are Mercury, Venus, and the Earth. And these 3 highlight one of the most important systemic triangles for our planet. This is the triangle between these 3 planets. And this triangle is essential in our Earth's shift towards becoming a sacred planet. Each year at the Gemini full moon, this triangle of light is powerfully stimulated, releasing a tremendous amount of light and love into our world. For both Mercury and Venus take in large quantities of light. Sacred planets they are, close to the sun, and they share a fraction of that light with our planet. It's said that Venus takes in 3 times the light and shares 1/3 of it with Earth. Mercury takes in 7 times the light and shares it with the Earth. They're aiding our planet to move forward on its evolutionary journey towards becoming that which it is already in consciousness, a sacred planet, a planet surrounded by an etheric grid composed of triangles. This receipt of light from our elder planetary brothers of Mercury and Venus is a kind of macrocosmic correspondence to the relationship which we, the aspirants and disciples of the world, have with those who work with us subjectively, stimulating us into greater light and livingness, all as part of the great chain of hierarchy. It's said that the sign of Gemini always forms the 3rd point in any zodiacal pair of opposites. It therefore helps us as a planet to come to mediate between the new pair of opposites that is forming in our world as we enter into the new age, the opposites of Aquarius and Leo. This is an interesting pair of opposites because it also highlights a particularly interesting period on the spiritual path through which we all pass, both as individuals, but also and more importantly as groups and nations, as we move out from under the weight of the self-focus of Leo, but also its integrating factors, and move into the group consciousness of Aquarius. And this transformative stage is highlighted in a passage that we've mentioned a number of times in these webinars from The Destiny of the Nations, page 146. It states, "The lion begins to roar. He rushes forth, and in his urge to live, he wields destruction. And then again he roars, and rushing to the stream of life, drinks deep. Then, having drunk the magic of the water's works, he stands transformed. The lion disappears, and he who bears the water pot stands forth and starts upon his mission." So this holds out for us much promise for humanity to move through the stage of Leo, through the stage of individual integration and into group work. This confluence of energies between Aquarius, Leo, and Gemini, the mediating sign, is highlighted as well for us in a planetary triangle of much significance. This is the triangle between the UK, the US, and Russia. It's said that this triangle holds the world as we enter into Aquarius in its hands. These three nations are most important because they are, at their core, fundamentally group-oriented. In their founding charters, they're for the people. But it is the people who have to hold their nations accountable in order to realize their inherent potential. The US and Russia are both ruled by Aquarius at the soul level, bringing a strong inner link between them, while the US and the UK are both ruled by the second ray at the level of the soul, providing another strong link between them. These links hold out much promise as these three countries grow into greater alignment with their higher selves, presenting the opportunity for the three to work together for the benefit of the whole, as was the case during the last century during the Second World War. But the problem lies most powerfully today in the personality aspects of these three nations, in the fact that both the US and Russia are ruled by the sixth ray at the personality level, and Britain by the first ray. These energies need greater harmonizing with their higher selves in order to work more effectively, both within their own nations and collectively. Interestingly, Russia is ruled by Leo at the personality level, and therefore that passage about the roaring lion cited above might describe some of the challenges working out in Russia today. The UK and US are both ruled by Gemini, the linking energy, the UK at the soul level, thus working beautifully with their second ray soul, and the US is ruled by Gemini at the personality level. Surely this bridging energy can be utilized by both the US and the UK to aid Russia to move into its powerful role of bridging between East and West, which might be having its seeds fostering a little bit more strongly in some of the actions that are ongoing today. Russia's seventh ray Aquarian soul will enable her to make a truly powerful contribution to the world as she grows into that soul. So let us, in the midst of our work together at this period of the lead up to the Gemini full moon, hold this important subjective triangle in our minds in order that the warring brothers, the US and Russia, can find a way to utilize the bridging energies of Gemini emerging out of the soul of the UK to find a way to move forward out of the present impasse. So let's now work together with our meditation. Let's integrate together as a group, focusing in the center of the even darn cross on the mental plane, working as a soul, as a point of love and light. Hold the consciousness immersed within the light of the group soul, the heart of love which underlies and infuses the network. Now lift the consciousness to the world teacher, the heart of love at the center of the spiritual hierarchy and the heart of each triangle. Visualize the energies of love, light, and goodwill circulating in and around the triangle's network. Visualize these energies unifying and eliminating all divisions within humanity, healing and transforming human consciousness, establishing right human relationships. Visualize a rainbow bridge connecting us with the spiritual hierarchy and sound together the mantra of unification. The sons of men are one, and I am one with them. I seek to love, not hate. I seek to serve, and not exact due service. I seek to heal, not hurt. Let pain bring due reward of light and love. Let the soul control the outer form, and life and all events, and bring to light the love that underlies the happenings of the time. Let vision come and insight. Let the future stand revealed. Let inner union demonstrate and outer cleavages be gone. Let love prevail. Let all people love. Visualize the whole planet alight with triangles. see new triangles being formed everywhere. Distribution, sounding the great invocation, silently or aloud. And as we repeat each stanza, let's visualize the network, acting as a link between the world of spiritual realities and humanity, as a channel through which light, love, and divine purpose may flow into human consciousness. From the point of light within the mind of God, let light stream forth into human minds. Let light descend on earth. From the point of love within the heart of God, let love stream forth into human hearts. May the coming one return to earth. From the center where the will of God is known, let purpose guide all little human wills, the purpose which the masters know and serve. From the center which we call the human race, let the plan of love and light work out, and may it seal the door where evil dwells. Let light and love and power restore the plan on earth. Hello, Uta. If you could unmute yourself.
Hello.
Hi, Uta.
Hello.
Welcome.
Thank you for having me. Thank you, Kathy. And hello to everyone. So I start now?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So we will be talking today about the Creative Lab for Awakening the Souls of Our Nations, which is a project that we have started about 2 years ago. Alexander of the 2025 initiative invited me to open a series on the psychosynthesis of a nation on their platform. This work with the nations is something that DK has called our attention to. And we see it, especially in the last years, how much it is needed now in this in this challenging time, in this crisis that we are in. It's not only each individual is in crisis, but each nation. So this is a very important work. We are we are using, or we are going according to the lines of the Psychosynthesis of a Nation, which is a fruit of Roberto Assagioli. It's actually a downstepping of DK's suggestions for the national work. So he has given a scaffolding, an outline of a methodology of how to do this work. Maybe later we talk a bit more about it. So we are actually a group of co-workers from both the Hechal group in Jerusalem and the Klangschale group in Germany. And we hold a monthly webinar on the platform of the 2025 initiative. And this is basically an ongoing lab. It brings together people and groups who work with the consciousness of their nation, with a spiritual perspective. And the inner experience is very much at the center of our work. So a lot of what we're doing is actually, we could call it meditative research, meditative inquiry. The webinars, they build on each other. And in each webinar, we explore one specific aspect of this national work. So we practice being a unit of service for our nation. And we also foster, we help new national groups to form. And it's very beautiful to see how more and more of these little groups form themselves and start to work. And this monthly webinar is like a platform for exchange and cooperation. And we're just now doing the first steps to kind of co-create a network, an international intergroup in which we can then practice, to be the Ajna center of the planet, to be planetary stewards. So this work, this national work, is, we are told, to be done by a group. And Assagioli has coined a kind of curious term for it. It's he calls it group of best citizens. It's actually mature citizens who have already a soul perspective, who can do this work, and who will eventually take up the function of what Assagioli calls the conscious self of a nation, which is exactly this antakarana between the soul of the nation and its outer expression. So in our nation's lab, we learn together the various skills of being best citizens. It's kind of a new technology, Aquarian group technology on behalf of a collective. Yeah, we're just now starting to experiment with working as representatives of our nations and together as an intergroup, holding an inclusive space for the nations and their interactions. So it's kind of a little humble replica of a United Nations on the level of consciousness. And it's only the very humble beginnings. But before maybe going into this a bit more, I would first like to do with you a very simple meditation exercise to give you a taste of this work. The experience will explain much more than many words. And in this exercise, we will actually take the position of the conscious self of our nation, standing between its outer expression and its higher potential. between the personality and the soul of the nation. And afterwards, we can go into some more details. So let us close our eyes, taking a deep breath, letting go of everything. Touching into our place of inner stillness. Peace enters our mind, becomes clear and focused. And we stand as the soul, radiant. Setting our intent now on serving our nation. And in imagination, let us lift ourselves up to a pinnacle from which we can observe our nation. Just taking a moment for this observation while we remain detached. We are being a silent watcher. Just observing. And let us become now aware of co-workers who stand with us on our pinnacle, holding together with us this position of the conscious self of our nation. Let's sense this group of best citizens for a moment. And in our imagination, let us now, as a group, open our consciousness upwards towards the soul of our nation. And just being receptive, standing in the light of the soul of our nation. Letting go of all ideas and knowledge. Just receptive to the energy. And let us imagine a blessing of the soul of the nation pouring into its outer expression, into its mental, emotional, and physical aspects. And as this blessing continues to flow, let us become aware now of other pinnacles, pinnacles of the other nations, and visualize on each pinnacle a group of mature citizens, acting as we do, as a bridge between the national soul and its outer expression. In each nation, there is an embryo group of best citizens. And let us weave lines of light and love from pinnacle to pinnacle. Gradually creating a unified field of high vibration. As silent watchers, let us hold this unified field, planetary field, for another moment, and visualizing soul light and love and purpose pouring through each nation. See a triangle of nations vaguely come into view. Lines of light connecting the USA, Russia, and Britain. Visualize the energy flowing freely between these 3 points. Let us take another moment to visualize the new civilization being born through soul awakening. And we return to our normal daily consciousness. When a group is working like this in a sustained way, it becomes more and more aware of both what's going on in the personality, all the impediments, personality of the nation, and also of its higher potential. It's a work that is cumulative. And these two aspects, looking at the impediments and looking at the higher potential, they're complementing. And we found that it is good to work with both, to have a balance between both. Yeah.
Could you tell us, thank you so much, Uta. That's really a powerful meditation. I wondered if you've had, I think the work you're doing is fostering interactions between these different national units of service, one with the other. Is that true? And if so, have there been any results that you'd like to share with the group of these interactions?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we are just at the beginning now of seeing what's going on between the nations.
Uh-huh.
For the moment, for all these 3 years, 2 years actually, we have been practicing skills and learning how to function as a group of mature citizens.
Yeah.
And now we are just at the beginning. Maybe I can say a little bit more about psychosynthesis.
Sure. Yeah.
And before touching on on the advanced stuff, so to speak.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if everybody's familiar with psychosynthesis. That is a psychology of the soul that DK asked Assagioli to bring into existence. And he took this psychosynthesis for an individual further to a psychosynthesis, actually a soul psychology also for collectives. And in this psychosynthesis of a nation is seen as a living entity, exactly like an individual human being with a physical, emotional, mental body and a spiritual component too. So we are using this, we call it a template. So it's kind of a guideline and a bit of a structure in this uncharted territory. So we look in our meditations at these different aspects of a nation.
And if there are are there specific techniques other than the meditation for trying to work with healing of the nation?
Yeah, we are, as I said, the meditation, the meditative inquiry is at the center of this work. Mm-hmm. And when the questions arise, then we go to the texts and we look up what is what is DK offering that explains to us what we perceive in our group inquiry. And the exchange between us, yes, if it's really actually like a group of scientists, if you want, mm-hmm. a peer revision, so to speak. Yes, we share our impressions and we learn a lot from each other, both the telepathic congruences and the also our differences. And from the differences, we learn even more because it shows us where we are identified with a national pattern. And only in this interplay between us can we become aware of our own identifications. Mm-hmm. And this is part of the skill set of a group of best citizens, yes, to learn to be disidentified. And this is, of course, very difficult when it comes to our nations.
Yeah, it was interesting when I was looking into the triangle of the UK, the US, and Russia. He was sort of indicating that one of the reasons that those three nations were part of this most important planetary triangle was because of they had a less of a nationalistic tendencies, although it might be difficult to see that from the personality perspective at the present moment. He said that at a deep level, that was the advantage that these nations had. And so it's certainly what we're all of our nations are trying to work towards, that more Aquarian disinterestedness, detachment, and less of a focus on their own nation and more feeling part of a greater field of nations.
Yes, yeah. All these three nations, they are actually a conglomerate of many nations.
Yeah.
And so they have this opportunity and this challenge to come to a unity in diversity.
A friend of mine has given me a technique that she uses, and I think it's something that's really powerful. It's to work with a symbol of the national identity and to just hold it in consciousness and to try and illumine that symbol. And for example, for the United States, you might use the Statue of Liberty because it embodies some of the highest qualities of the United States. And I'm sure each nation has a symbol that they can work with at different times during the day.
And it's actually fascinating to observe how the different groups of the nations in the nations lab come up with their own symbols, and how this work actually develops, each group working in a different way. Some more with the rays, some more with these existing symbols, characteristics, some more in the transmutation work, some more in intuiting the higher potential. Each one is doing it in a different way. And it's quite amazing to watch this.
Yeah. Maybe we don't have a lot of time, so maybe we should open it up if anybody would like to raise their hand and share some thoughts or a question for Uta. Or Uta, if you would like to see if there's any comments that you'd like to reflect upon. Do you have the chat there?
Wait a minute, I have to open it up. The snapshots, yes. We are doing, we have, as we went, we developed something that we call the snapshot of a nation. It's actually a picture, a synthetic picture of what any one group can grasp of their nation as an entity. Yes, again, as a living entity. What can I grasp right now of my nation? And
is that a visual?
No, it can be visual. It can be etheric impressions. Can be anything. That it's again each group and each person works in a different way, and the magic of this snapshot is that when a group prepares to present a snapshot in the webinar, in the Nations Lab webinar, they have to actually use their very fine antennas and then share their very fine impressions, and then come to a place where they, to a consensus. And perhaps you can imagine if there's a lot of diversity in the group of different viewpoints, different backgrounds. This is quite an interesting process. So it draws out of us the skills of the best citizens, and also, of course, for those who listen, it is a special gift to hear from a group with a soul perspective about a nation. Where do we find such a thing, actually? Yeah. Yeah, and what is also, I just want to mention it as something quite precious, is what's happening now in the lab is the beginning of interactions between the different groups. So we have a very lively interaction now with the Russian group and the American group.
Mm.
And it is fascinating. Each one is stretching in order to bridge this divide, and yeah, I'm very grateful for this.
That's wonderful.
And maybe one last thing, we also have a triangle of three of middle nations. This is Denmark, Australia, and Canada. They have decided that they will do a work of what they call middle nations. So we see the beginning of these relationships between the nations. That's very encouraging. How does the soul of each nation deal with the personality of each nation? Perfection drives imperfection to the surface, yes. Yeah, I guess this is also every setup, every national setup has its own in ways in order to bring the soul out into outer expression. Often it comes through crises, like also in us, in individuals, major events in a nation's history. This is what Assagioli actually says, we need these groups of best citizens. Yes, it's like as a disciple, as an aspirant, we need to become conscious of ourselves, to be able to self-reflect and to stand as a bridge between our personality and our soul. The same thing needs to happen also for a nation. So a lot depends on all of us taking on this function.
Joshua has his hand up. So Joshua, would you unmute your microphone? Hi.
Hi. There's a comment by Matthew Martin on our Facebook stream. He says, one way to understand the soul of one's nation is to reflect upon your nation's core values and also its finest potentials. But if we reflect upon the current events in the nation, and this is most often just a reflection of the nation's temporal personality, which we shouldn't dwell on too much, since that would just give all this more energy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we have found that it is really important to look in both directions, that we do look downwards and get a sense of what's happening on the emotional plane, on the mental plane, on the physical plane of our nation. What are the things that need to be transmuted? What are the patterns? Exactly like you would do with yourself too. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then at the same time to open to the soul of a nation. What I can say here also is to open without any preconceived ideas. This was very helpful for us. You know, we know DK gave us of some nations a lot of information also about the soul of a nation, but to put all this aside and just open up, this can be done only as a group, but to open up our antennas. Yes, it's kind of a Buddhic work. To sense into the higher potential, the soul of a nation, and it is sometimes it is pretty unexpected what we get, and this then has a lasting impact on us, and then we can carry this this quality that we touched. We can really embody it.
Right. Some people are asking how to join in this work. So if you have a web link or an email address that you'd want to share with people?
Yes,
You could
I
put that
write
in.
my email address. Yes.
It's helpful to focus on this work during this time when the healing of the nations is possible, we're told, at the Gemini full moon. So we hope that this particular energy, this field in which we're working, is going to stimulate the healing of the nations.
Mhm. Yes. There is also a question if there are previous recordings of the. Yes, we have all the recordings on the 2025 initiatives platform, and we have all our texts. We always want to put it up on our website, Hechal website, but we don't get to it. But if anyone is really interested, I can easily make our materials available.
Well, I will send you this chat, and thank you so much from all of us, Uta, for the work that you're doing and for sharing it with us. And hopefully we'll have you back again soon and you can share more of the work that you're doing.
How it is developing, yes. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. So let's just close by visualizing the planet surrounded by a network of golden triangles. Okay.